Number 1, shed as much payroll as possible. As currently projected, the Yankees' 2023 payroll with already guaranteed salaries and projected arbitration is $179 million. And knowing how the current regime headed by Hal Steinbrenner operates, it's almost certain that they won't go past the second luxury tax threshold of $273 million, which means we begin this offseason with $94 million to spend. But I want to spend more, and the way we can do that is by doing our best to rid ourselves of the money owed to Aaron Hicks, Josh Donaldson, and potentially some others as well. But let's start with Hicks, who is owed $30 million over the next 3 seasons, good for an average annual value of $10 million per year. Believe it or not, that's actually a movable contract, and while it will take giving up a top 20 prospect and the Yankees eating around, say, $9 to $10 million of that deal, I'd bank on that it will happen. Move Hicks and recoup $21 million of the $30 million he's owed, freeing up an additional $7 million on the 2023 payroll, giving us now $101 million to spend. Josh Donaldson, on the other hand, will be unbelievably tough, so much so to where I almost don't think it's possible, and I really want to be realistic with this blueprint. He's owed $25 million next season at 37 years old, coming off the worst year of his career. On top of that, he has an $8 million buyout if his 2024 club option gets declined, which it obviously will. So while theoretically it's possible the Yankees could trade him, I think it's a pipe dream. They'll be on the hook for this money next year, whether he's on the roster or not.
What?
But for the sake of my sanity and this blueprint, he will be released. If they can do it to A-Rod, who, love him or hate him, he did a damn lot more for this franchise than this guy ever has, they can do it to Josh Donaldson. Do not let him on the 2023 roster. Lastly, and this wasn't on my original script, but has since been brought to my attention, and I agree with it, the Yankees should non-tender Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's under control for one more season and projected to earn around $6 million next year. At first, I was honestly fine with him as a backup infielder and getting some platoonish playing time early on, but paying IKF $6 million when you drastically need to spend money on improving the offense is irresponsible. You can get an infielder of his caliber for way less. IKF non-tendered, that now gives us $107 million to spend this offseason, so let's get to it. Number 2, sign Aaron Judge to an 8-year, $320 million contract and name him captain. Right off the bat, this should be the Yankees' #1 priority, and they cannot dilly-dally. You need to right away show this man how much he means to this organization and make him the first $40 million a year position player in baseball. And yes, before you start trying to remind me in the comments, I know he was brutal in the playoffs. Awful, in fact. That's nothing more than just unfortunate, however, really. It's not an indicator of what kind of player Judge is. It's quite clear to anyone with eyes that the chase for 62 messed up the mechanics of his swing. It's not like this guy has never hit in the playoffs before. He has. It's not like this guy hasn't been clutch. He's been remarkably clutch for years now, constantly coming up in big spots again and again. So just don't let a piss-poor 9 games make you forget about the 157 prior, where he was arguably the greatest hitter in baseball history. And that was already on top of a career that was remarkable to begin with. There have been many things wrong with the construction of the Yankees roster over these past 6 years, but Aaron Judge is not one of them. He needs to be brought back and officially become what he has been already for years now, the captain of the New York Yankees. $320 million over 8 years has him earning $40 million in 2023, giving us now $67 million left to spend on next year's roster. Number 3, acquire Sean Murphy from the Oakland A's. Before I dive into Murphy, let me say that Jose Trevino was awesome for us this year. He's without a doubt the best framer in baseball, handles the pitching staff without one flaw, and even provided a little offense for a while, leading to his first ever All-Star selection. Unfortunately, despite a few months of it being above average, Jose Trevino's bat just cannot be counted on. After putting up a 103 WRC plus at the break, he quickly became one of the Yankees' worst hitters down the stretch and into October. And while his glove certainly keeps his roster spot safe, when we're looking at a team that desperately needs offense, I'm not comfortable with Trevino getting at bats for 130 games again next year, especially when you remind yourself that his first half was the outlier here. It was the only time in his career where he provided above league average offense. The Yankees need to upgrade, and Sean Murphy of the Oakland A's is the perfect opportunity to do so. Under control through 2025 and in the prime of his career at 28 years old, Murphy is coming off yet another well above average offensive season at the catcher position, posting a 122 WRC plus over 148 games with 18 home runs to go with a 250 batting average. And while he's not Jose Trevino with the glove, Murphy is no bum behind the plate. In fact, he's one of the better defensive catchers in the game himself. If the Yankees were to acquire him, they would not see a downgrade in blocking or throwing at runners, as Murphy and Trevino are quite even in those areas. The only facet in Trevino's game that is significantly better is his framing, which he is just otherworldly at, as he ranks in the 100th percentile among all catchers in baseball. Still, though, Murphy finds himself in a very respectable 84th percentile, and under this blueprint, Jose will remain on the roster as a backup, so he's not going anywhere. Official trade, and this might make a couple of you nauseous, but I'm over prospect hugging. Got to give up something to get something. Oswald Peraza, Everson Pereira, and Estevan Florial to Oakland for Sean Murphy, who's projected to earn $3.5 million in 2023. We now move forward with $63 million to spend. Number 4, bring back Anthony Rizzo on a 3-year, $45 million deal. Like I said with Judge, there were many problems with the 2022 roster come season's end, but Anthony Rizzo was not one of them. With 32 home runs and a 132 WRC plus in his age 32 season, the veteran first baseman was easily one of the Yankees' best and most trusted hitters, and that carried into October, where he was one of the few guys in the lineup to actually produce in the playoffs, crushing 2 homers while putting up a 984 OPS across 9 games. As for his defense, metrics didn't love him this year, as he had -2 defensive runs saved and -2 outs above average. But this is one of those rare times where I'm choosing to throw those stats out the window. He may not be what he once was, but there are very few guys I'd take over Rizzo to pick a bad throw at first base. I still consider him to be very solid at the position. And then, of course, you have his clubhouse presence. Beloved. We hear so much talk about the Yankees not having the right guys in the locker room. I have no idea if there's any validity to that, but regardless, Rizzo's impact on that room is without a doubt nothing but positive. Not to mention, he's like the only one in there who actually has won a ring before. With the market for first baseman being slim to begin with, re-upping with Rizzo is a no-brainer. Tack on another $15 million to the payroll for Rizzo. We move forward now with $48 million left to spend. Number 5, sign Trey Turner to an 8-year, $262 million contract. And here is the splash that totally changes the outlook of the offseason and the 2023 roster as a whole. The Yankees have to return to their big spending roots and unload on Trey Turner, a move that would totally change the landscape of this lineup moving forward. And before you guys start commenting, what does this mean for Anthony Volpe? The answer to that is nothing. In fact, I'll do my full 2023 lineup at the end. Under this blueprint, Volpe will either be the everyday shortstop or second baseman by May. That's something I'm counting on very heavily on here, as we all should be. Volpe is one of the premier prospects in baseball. He's not going anywhere. As for Turner, he's exactly what this team is lacking. At 29 years old, he's in the prime of his career and excels at every facet of the game. He can hit for contact, hit for power, plays real solid defense at short, all while being arguably the fastest player in baseball. Since debuting in 2016, his 162-game average is a 302, 355, 487 slash line. Of course, that's average on-base slugging, which is good for an 842 OPS, 24 home runs, 83 RBIs, 44 stolen bases. And how about this? Just 129 strikeouts. Just imagine if the Yankees were getting that production at a shortstop in 2022 instead of IKF. We might all be in a much better mood right now. Maybe at a parade. Who knows? The 6.3 WAR Turner put up this past year ranked him as the second best shortstop in all of baseball behind Francisco Lindor. Want to take a guess, by the way, the last time the Yankees had a shortstop who put a WAR over 5? Got to go all the way back to Derek Jeter in 2009. Quite pathetic, really, when you consider the easy options the Yankees have had to upgrade over these past couple of free agencies. If they once again choose to sit out and let Turner or Correa walk to another team, I don't know what I'll do. Also, I really like this description of Turner's game from an article over at The Athletic by Jim Bowden, where he says this: he could play second base or shortstop, has a strong hit tool with speed and power, which suggests he will age well, even when he slows down in his mid to late 30s. He can hit leadoff, second or third, he can manufacture a run with his speed, or hit a throw-in homer to put his team ahead. I think that's the perfect explanation of Turner's game and an exact reason why we should bring him onto this Yankees team. I have him costing $262 million over 8 years. Unfortunately, this all fits under the budget of $273 million that I set. This adds $33 million, giving us $15 million left to spend on the 2023 payroll. Number 6, trade Gleyber Torres for the best prospects possible. As sad as it'll be to see him go, with the huge free agent splash of Trey Turner and the rise of top prospect Anthony Volpe, Gleyber is unfortunately the odd man out in this blueprint. And hey, let's give him a lot of credit for bouncing back the way he did in 2022. He had a really solid year. Even with the brutal August, he was able to total 24 homers with a 115 WRC plus in a 4.1 WAR season. And big part of that high WAR was thanks to the remarkable improvement defensively, as Gleyber tallied 9 defensive runs saved in his first season back at second base, a career high by far for the 25-year-old. But it's time to sell high. With 2 years of control left, his best season in a while under his belt, and potentially a surplus of teams in need of a second baseman, now is the time to trade Gleyber Torres. I won't whip up a specific trade since there are so many possibilities, but if I'm the Yankees, my main goal here is to acquire the best prospects possible, whoever that may be, while also, of course, taking his money off the books, which is projected to be around $9 million in 2023. So with this move, we now have hopefully somewhat lightened the blow of sending 2 top 10 prospects to the A's for Murphy, but getting a top 10 guy maybe in return for Torres, while freeing up an infield spot for the long-awaited debut of Anthony Volpe, and our offseason budget has also increased back up to $24 million. Number 7, sign Andrew Benintendi to a 4-year, $65 million deal. Jules Sherman of the New York Post has already reported that the Yankees are looking to bring back Benintendi, and I think it makes perfect sense. They're in need of a left fielder, and why not retain a guy who just entered the prime of his career at 28, is a left-handed, high-contact bat with some speed and great defense, coming off a real solid season between both the Royals and the Yankees as he hit 304 with a 373 on base, 122 WRC plus, and a very low strikeout rate of 14.8%. Now, I do feel like we'll end up paying more for Benintendi than I'd really want us to, but if a deal can get done for around $16 million per year over 4 years, sign me up. I consider this one a no-brainer. Our 2023 budget is now down to a remainder of $9 million. And with that $9 million, I leave it at that. If you can't already tell, the focus of this blueprint is offense, offense, offense.
believe it or not, the pitching is just about set. While yeah, it'd be nice to add a guy like Carlos Rodon, a rotation of Cole, Nestor, Sevy, Montas, Herman is still one of the better staffs in the American League, and more than good enough to get us by in the regular season en route to winning the division. Then, at the deadline, you can reassess and acquire a top-flight arm if there is one available. As for the bullpen, this is one area I actually do trust the Yankees in to find an under-the-radar, cheap talent like they've done so many times before. There's already a good core nucleus with Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, Jonathan Loaizaga, Lucas Licky, Ron Marinaccio, and Lou Trevino. If they can add one or two more solid arms, perhaps as an add-on to the Sean Murphy trade, Aaron Hicks trade, or even the Glaber deal, with that and still $9 million available, they can solidify what's already one of the best pitching staffs in the American League, with, of course, the option to upgrade mid-season as well. And to wrap this blueprint up, we have our 2023 Yankees lineup. Leading off, playing shortstop or second base, Trey Turner. Aaron Judge batting second and playing right field. Anthony Rizzo playing first, batting third. Giancarlo Stanton DHing and cleaning up. DJ LeMahieu playing third base, batting fifth. Andrew Benintendi batting sixth, playing left field. Harrison Bader batting seventh, playing center. Sean Murphy catching and batting eighth. And rounding out the order, Yankees top prospect Anthony Volpe playing either second base or shortstop, batting ninth.